There's our Pinin Farina blanking plate finished. All right, the Blaupunkt knobs pull directly out, as well as the bezel to reveal a lock nut and washer. And after I've removed those, the faceplate will come out and the Blaupunkt comes out. I see they did not use a vertical stay in the back, so I'm glad I removed this now. This heavy box really is putting a stress on the dash, and the new PininFarina center lock blanking plate will look nice. We've got the antenna, the power, and the two speaker wires. We're going to blank those off and make sure that power wire is safe from all electrical shocking. And we may have it available for later if we need it for another application. And now that the speaker wires and the power wire are blanked off excessively, we can be assured they're not going to short out anywhere. And let's start zip tying it close into the wire bundle up above. Get another one in there. So to fabricate a blanking plate, I'm going to make it from scratch. I have procured 2-inch wide stock of an 1/8-inch steel and an 1/8-inch aluminum. Thought I'd try each, but I actually like the steel better. I'll countersunk fasteners in that so the surface is flat. Then I have some backing foam for that, 1/16 in poly, as well as Kaizen foam, which comes out in, excuse me, this is 1/16, and Kaizen foam comes out in 1/8-inch sections. And then the most difficult part of the project is an old dash hide. I have one from 05082, well over 10 years ago when I restored that, and I kept the old one pulled off it. This has a lot of water spotting on it, and I have a secret coming up on how to reduce the water spotting on a dash mouse fur hide, I'll call it, though it's not really. So now that we have our raw materials, let's start making our blanking plate. From here we want to select a portion of the used hide for our blanking plate background, and we see a lot of water spots there. One trick to removing these water spots is to lightly dampen the whole area with distilled water and then blot it dry with a towel and let it air dry. I'll be right back after doing that and see if we can make an improvement. And an hour later we are back. It's a lot better, isn't it? It's a lot better, isn't it? Now, when I said blotting, I was absolutely specific that you have an up and down motion. Do not move side to side because of it. And most of that water staining is gone now. So there's the trick for you. And we're ready to reassemble. All right. Taking the blank over to the workbench, cutting a 7.5 by 2-inch piece. I chose this 1/8-inch steel stock I had on hand. I do have aluminum also. I cut it and then also filed the edges to smooth them and the ends, so there's nothing cut. Did have to make a few trial cuts to get the centering of the PininFarina exactly where I wanted it, right there. But now it's there and ready to cover it. I've just trialed it with some Kaizen foam, and it's too puffy. So I used a very, very small 1/16-inch foam, and this is actually too puffy also. So a choice of metal of 1/8-inch thick was quite a lot. So if I put it here, you look at that, and holding that up to it, this really looks like the right. So unfortunately, I'm not going to use any backing foam on this one. I want to caution anybody in the future, maybe perhaps use a much thinner piece of material for the backing plate. So if we mock this up just to see what it would look like, starting to look like that's starting to be very attractive. There we go. There's a nice reflection against that dark mouse hair. So once I have the blanking plate cut and the attached posts on the back, the originals were 5mm studs welded. I don't have a welder, so I just countersunk them in there and used 6mm. And of course I checked the spacing on these to make sure it fit in the car as it is already. Had a couple trial holders, and now I have cut my original mouse fur. You saw how I wetted it and removed the water stains from it before, and I've held it up to the dash, and this looks like it's going to be a great match. So let's now start to fit it on there. I have two adhesives to use. 77 is a great one, but it is a spray, and in a closed environment that's tough. Weldwood is a much stronger one. I would avoid Weldwood with some foams because it's a solvent. It acts like a solvent and will actually go and melt some foams. So 67 is better. I'm going to take it outside in a very well ventilated area and both hit the edges as well as the mating portion. All right, once you hit it with 77 super on the mating surfaces, let it tack up outside and then bring it inside. Press it on, making sure it's smooth, and opposing sides. Lock it down. Making sure the centers are. Follow through with the ends. Applying pressure to the end tabs. All right, once you start smoothing it down, making sure everything is snug. Try the holes. Just a little bit there so they don't get covered over with any adhesive, and fit the PininFarina badge in each of the holes gently. Making sure they all go in at the same rate. Follow through. So the final iteration of this was that the 1/8 inch steel was really too thick for any of the 1/16 or even the 1/8 inch foams I had. And I also had to select a section of the old Euros dash, a car I restored years ago, the hide here to be as nice and as dark as possible, because the dash in 08492 is truly well preserved. 15,000 miles inside the Los Angeles collection. I've also fastened a couple of back bolts on it too. Tighten those up, firm them, and it looks like it actually belongs there. Let's clip some of the zip ties and finish this install up. There's our PininFarina blanking plate finish. On to the final results, and we have our PininFarina blanking plate and that hunk of a 1984 stereo removed.